What's up, everyone? I'm Cio Connolly, and today I am making these little brochure type things for the Houston Horror Film Fest this weekend. Yes, my last video about the Texas Haunters Convention, like way before it was supposed to happen, it would not upload, so I just didn't try again because by the time it wouldn't upload, it was too late and I was like, forget it. So hopefully this one uploads just fine. We're hoping for the best. So I'm making these little things, and all they are is they're printed generally 2 per page, but they're printed open. Let me try to find the center of this one. I gotta find, there it is. Okay, so they're printed like this, and there is 2 per page, and there's like extra on the side, along the top, and then along the bottom. So that's how they print, and then I cut them down. So I cut them in half to make them smaller. They're easy to carry around, especially at these events. It's actually really nice to have something small to be able to carry around, and they have all of my information in here. So they've got each one of my books and the little thing that's printed on the back of the book. And this one's not stapled together yet, so it's gonna fall apart just a little bit. Ooh, that is not right. There we go. So, and the formatting on this is crazy on how to get this thing formatted, because you have to remember that they have to be printed, or they have to be formatted with, like, here's the front page and then here's the back page. This is actually the part of the back of my Killer Suburbia book. But this is all of my information. But when it's put together, it shows here's all the books I have published, and then here's all my social medias. So I have it that way. And then on this side, you'll see Killer Suburbia and the back synopsis. So that's how these things have to be formatted. And it took me, I want to say, a little over a week to actually plan it out before I put it in my computer to format it and everything, because I wanted to make sure it was going to be formatted properly. And I've always had a problem with this. So I just take random little pieces of paper that I have. I figure out exactly how many pages I'm going to need. I fold them in half, and then I write down on those blank pieces of paper what needs to go on each page. And then I pull it all apart, and then that's how I format. So it makes it a little easier to format these correctly. Otherwise, it's a disaster and a half to try to do this. Luckily, I do have an even amount of books, so I only needed 4 pages. I only needed 4 pages of formatting. If I end up having another book and have to add another one of these, there's going to be uneven, so they'll end up being blank pages in it. So I have to watch for that. But because it folds so nicely and it staples down the middle, it's actually, let me grab one that's stapled. So when it's stapled down the center, I don't know if you can see the staples there. Yeah, you can. Okay, so there's the staples there, and it's stapled right in the middle. But my thing is that I don't have a stapler that will actually go through the page and staple in the center. So I take this and I kind of roll it. So it's just kind of rolled like this. And then I open my stapler up and then put it on there that way to try to staple it. So I try not to bend it too much, but you can see this. So then you just unbend it, and then it's basically, and then of course, you know, I live in Texas, so there's heat. So if I put them in my car, it'll actually kind of iron it, I guess you could say. So that is kind of nice. Let me see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so this goes this way. I have a box. That's got them in there. I will eventually lay them down, but I had printed some of these out. I did a bunch of these for the Texas Haunters Convention that I was just at, and they went by so well. Like, literally, sometimes at these events, you'll get people who will be standing there, and you'll see they're in a group. One person looks really interested, but nobody else does. And they're kind of looking, but they don't, it's almost like they don't want their friends to know that they're kind of interested in a book, because their friends aren't interested in that kind of thing. So you just kind of hand them one of these. And I did this several times. So you just kind of hand them one of these, just kind of, you know, bring them over just to get one. And as soon as they do, they'll walk around the entire event. And then either sometimes the whole group will come over, and the one person's like, I want this book, because they had time to look at all of your books and stuff in here, and now they know exactly which one they want. And sometimes they'll actually get the rest of their group kind of interested, and sometimes they'll ask you questions. And I have no problem answering questions to anybody who has anything about writing. Even if you're not going to buy one of my books, I have no problem answering your questions about writing. I had one girl who asked me about motivation because she said she was trying to write a book. And she said that sometimes she has a hard time getting motivated to actually write. And I told her to make sure that you always have a notebook and a pen with you. When you're watching movies, when you're out in public, you'll hear somebody say something in public, and just that phrase that someone said clicks in your head, and you're like, oh my God, I could make something out of this. Like just an entire scene out of 4 words or something. Write it down. No matter what, always write down. I've watched comedies or even romantic movies and stuff like that. Under the Tuscan Sun sometimes gives me like just random little things that it's just because she's a writer. So sometimes you kind of hear little things, or some certain things give you like motivation to write because you're watching a movie about writers and, you know, whatever. I don't know. But my thing is though, is that you'll hear something and it'll be the most random thing. Sometimes when my husband's watching these Marvel movies, you know, one of the guys, something will be happening in the movie and I'm like, you know what? It has nothing to do with Marvel, has nothing to do with the comic at all. It has nothing to do with the movie in any way, but something came to my mind. And if I don't write it down immediately, I'm going to completely forget. So always have a notebook, always have a pen. That's just I want to say that that's something that every writer should have, no matter where you are. You will hear something, you will see something, and it's going to trigger a, thought process in your head where you're going, I know exactly where I want this to go. Write it down. And the weirdest places to do that are generally like a mall when you're out walking around and then all of a sudden you hear somebody say something. Find a bench, pull out your notebook, write it down. Yes, people give you funny looks when you do stuff like that. Who cares? I used to get funny looks all the time when I used to sit at Starbucks. There were times where I would go to Starbucks with a notebook and a pen and I would just sit there and I would just listen to the people around me. And as they're talking and stuff, every so often I just write a little something down. And sometimes people give you strange looks because you're just sitting there. You got a pen in your hand, a notebook in front of you, and you're just kind of sitting there and you're just listening. Most people don't realize what you're doing. And it does look weird. Like nowadays, at least you have a phone. You have a phone to keep yourself occupied, so you could be playing a game or something on your phone with your coffee or whatever. And it doesn't look as weird when you start writing stuff down when you're kind of occupied, when you're just sitting there like a creeper. I'm sorry, but back in my early 20s and my teen years, cell phones did not exist. I take that back. Okay, my early 20s, cell phones existed. But that was back when people were using, semicolon, kind of things. And close parentheses for smiley faces. So I'm just saying those were my original emojis. I remember those. So that was back in the day. Plus you push the button, 3 times to get a C. You had to push it as many times as you needed to get that letter. Anyway, I don't know if anybody remembers that. So, but here's the deal. So because there are so many things now that you can use to keep yourself occupied, even if it's a computer, like if you're going to Starbucks to sit around, get your computer out, pull your computer out and just randomly type out stuff you hear. The notebook's a little more discreet. It's not as noticeable than a laptop is, but a laptop would probably be a little less creepy. I don't know. Anyway, so this weekend is the Houston Horror Film Fest. These are my horror family. I love everybody who's involved in it. That includes all of the staff, the organizers, the random people that are just there with like their staff shirts on. Oh my gosh. These people are amazing. And I really, really love the Houston Horror Film Fest. So if you are in or around the Houston area, please come out and see us this weekend. Everybody is just amazing. And I sure as hell hope that this video uploads before the weekend, because that would be nice. I don't like having, 8 days of trying to upload a video and then finding out that the upload just deleted itself. the day before an event. So today is Tuesday, July 19th. The event is Friday, Saturday, and Sunday this weekend. So make sure that you're there and grab one of these if you want, just to say, hey, I follow her on, YouTube. Yay. I don't know what people do. I just assume that sometimes I'm a little more important than I really am. And there's other times where I'm like, I'm not that important. Like at Texas Haunters. Texas Haunters this last weekend. I got a message from the guy, but I had met him at another convention, and he told me that I could get a celebrity table. And I was like, celebrity table? And I was like, I didn't think I was that important to be a celebrity, but okay. And I was fine with that. And I was like on the same row as legit Sandy Johnson, who was the first victim in the very first Halloween movie. It was Michael Myers' sister. So I was a little, I didn't realize I was important enough to be on the same row as her, but okay, I'm okay with that. Like literally, she was two tables down from me. But I did meet quite a few other authors and stuff like that. I gotta tell you, some of these people are just so great. I really love meeting other authors, especially when they're really intrigued by the type of writing that I do. Now, I've gotten to the point to where saying the word horror is actually a lot harder than, when you tell people you're going to a horror convention and they're like, you're going to a horror convention? No. So I tell people I write slashers. That's a little easier. So now that's my thing. I write slashers. It's all slashers. You're all just going to, that's just how it's going to go. I will tell you though that TikTok seems to suppress any of the videos where I show my table. I don't know if it has something to do with the tablecloth that's on there that has a ton of, fake blood on it. I don't know if that's what it is, but they really do suppress those videos because I get less than 50 views on those videos every time. But if I, in the same day post, all of my videos will have over 200, 300, views, but that one video, for some reason, every time I post my table, it gets less than 50. And I think it's suppressing it specifically because of the blood. I don't know. I have no idea. I'll use the same hashtags for everything, but that's beside the point. Anyway, make sure you're following me on everything. Every social media is the same name. Make sure that you subscribe here on YouTube because I do have a lot of stuff coming up. And I'm going to try to post a lot more videos of like the events and stuff like that so we can see that. Sometimes I forget that my phone has like extra, features on it besides just calling and texting. But I know how to use all the apps. I just forget that I can use it for like camera and, picture and video purposes. I know how to use the apps. I know how to use social media and I do all that, but I always forget other things like I should probably be taking pictures of this because this is awesome. I can take video of this because this is awesome. But I'll take TikToks all day long. I don't know where my mind goes. I have no idea. Anyway, that's it. Houston Horror Film Fest is this weekend. Great people. Come see me. Yes, come see me. I'm working so hard to get all this stuff done. Box set. I do have a few things that I need to assemble for a few box sets. I think there's like 6 that need to be assembled. So I will have box sets of my Affair series. I have Killer Suburbia is out now, and I have a ton of copies of that. I didn't have much left over from this past weekend, but luckily I ordered like 2 sets. So I had for Texas Haunters and I had for Houston Horror. So I did have 2 sets of those books. So I do have extras now. I have a few left over from this past weekend of both. Now, nobody bought anything of the Affair series at Texas Haunters, which is fine. But most of my Killer Suburbia and Friendly Misfortunes were selling. Those were the 2 that were selling. And I understand most people want to see like the single titles because they want to know if they like your writing style. And I do tend to get where people will buy the single titles and then later on my website, they'll buy the box sets. And I have to always mention that the box set is only available on my website. It is not available from Amazon. It is not available from barnesandnoble.com. It is not available anywhere except my website. That's the only place that you can get my Affair box set. So anyway, that's it. That's all I have. Houston Horror Film Fest this weekend. I'm so excited. super uber duper ready to go. I just have to get all my stuff out of the back of my Jeep so I can, from last weekend, so I can pack in for this weekend. But that's it. Okay, bye!